Recording.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, hi everyone. So today I'll be the presenter of the day. Today I'll be presenting on part 1, section 5 on topic of curiosity and grounded. Okay, so okay, before I jump into the topic itself, I believe this is something that we have gone through in our daily life from our childhood from when we are kids. These are the common scenario probably we have experienced before. Um, yeah, when we are kids or even right now at this age. Yeah. So, when we are kids, probably we will face times like when our parents argue or, being lectured by our parents for doing the wrong thing or even being boycott. I won't say boycott, maybe you experience like the times where your friends, just play among themselves and they don't want to play with you. You experience time where you feel really sad and lonely. Uh, yeah, when you don't feel love. Okay, so these are the common feelings that all of us will go through, regardless of what age that we are in. But when we are kids, we are already experiencing it. So what I'm trying to point out is that a lot of time we thought, armor when we go through this dare to lead, or some of us when at the beginning we talk about vulnerability or something like that, we talk about armor. So a lot of us might think that armor is something that's bad, that or why we want to build ourselves, build armor around ourselves, why we want to be so defensive or something like that. But what I'm trying to say is it's normal. It's normal for every one of us to armor up ourselves because it's a way for us to actually protect ourselves in a situation where we feel like being threatened or we feel, to prevent ourselves from being hurt or disappointed or even from feeling invisible or unloved. So it's a way of us showing love to ourselves to protect ourselves. So it's something really common. Yeah, but however, as time goes by, why we have to learn vulnerability, it's something that we have to learn. Okay, so why we have to learn about vulnerability is that vulnerability is sort of like the steps that leads us to be the true self of us. That means we can be ourselves freely and confidently. Okay, armor ourselves is like we're putting a wall around us and we can't really we are sort of like tied down, being limited. Yeah, so now we sort of like want to remind ourselves back then, like when we were kids, how free we feel, how uh 童真 that sort of like want to find back the feeling, the pure curiosity, pure uh sincerity, just to feel something, just to do something. Yeah. Okay, so as years go by, when we grow older, that's how we slowly build our armor. But now we sort of like want to slowly understand ourselves more deeply so that we know how to protect ourselves in a way that doesn't limit us. Yeah. So that's the beginning. I want you all to actually think back and reflect back. So the time where you all had that feeling, and that's maybe you can take some time to reflect back. What are the kind of armor that usually you put up, and what is the thing that trigger you to put up your armor? Okay, maybe it's a time where you feel uh, you don't get your friends attention, or the time where your parents actually accuse you where you didn't do anything wrong. When was the time? And the armor, what is the armor that you put up? Probably it can lead to what you are practicing right now, or the some of the behavior that you are practicing right now. So that's how I practice. I will reflect back my childhood. What is the experience, the memory that um, impact me? It might not be the most, but somehow I still can remember and try to recall the incidents and how do I react towards it. Okay. So yes. So what is the factors that contribute just now I mentioned, like to lead to us being armor up, and it's something normal. Okay, everyone that have to been through. So how do we actually transform in that case? If we want to transform from being someone who armor up all the time until someone who is free to be, not to say free to be yourself, but confident enough to be yourself, to know yourself what you need, and why you are feeling this, to understand yourself inside out. How does this process happen, or what's the factor that contributes up? Okay, so there are two factors here. One is the upbringing and influence from parents. Okay, so you probably will get to see when among your friends, you can see some of your friends are being more how to say, confident, more open, more ready to accept challenge, to take up challenge or something like that. But probably you will see another friend of yours who is more conserved, who is more scared, not a risk taker, or not so confident. So it actually got to do with parenting lah. So when you have a parent, who is less confident in themselves, so probably they will want to prepare ahead for the kids. They will want to, on the this right hand side, they want to fixing things. When you do something wrong, they instantly want to fix you. Then they praise only when there's results. Whenever they see things that you do wrong, or whenever they see that you're about to do wrong, they will interfere. Then they will try to, help you. But on the other side, probably you will have parents who is more encouraging, and probably they will allow you to explore. Even though you fail, it's okay. What they praise most is the effort, not so much on the result. And yeah, they probably, that's where they give you confidence along the way. So why I include this part is mainly because we have a parent here lah. So I think it's good for us to also think when we have kids, how are we going to build up confidence in our kids? So it doesn't mean that when you prepare a perfect path for them, it means the best lady. Okay, so sometimes it's better for your kids to actually explore and learn themselves, but along the way, you can give them encouragement, you can guide them, but most importantly, give them the confidence that they can, some of things that they can actually try it out, and it's okay for them to make mistake lah. So give them the security lah. And of course, that is the first part, or the early stage. That's where we probably have different people who comes with different confidence level. And we also have the second part, or the later part, which every one of us here could actually nurture and do something about it, which is self-awareness and your own effort in building this so-called grounded confidence. Okay, so I believe when I share the first part, the upbringing, so a lot of you might say that, if it's an upbringing and influence from parents, then we can't really do anything about it already, because that's it. That's it. I mean, how our parents raised us up, we can't really go back and erase it. But what I'm trying to say is, you can, with your own effort and awareness, you can do something and build up yourself to be from not confident to someone who's confident. Okay, so this is something that you can build up. Okay, so what is grounded confidence? So of course not all this great athletes but I'm trying to share the example. Okay, so grounded confidence is the messy process of learning and unlearning, practicing and falling, and surviving a few misses. So here we have one of the, like, among the top athletes that we have in the world. Okay, so I believe they all didn't start off to be a legend from the beginning when they are kids. So a lot of times we see them, being already the world class runner, swimmer, I don't know. But a lot of times we didn't really see how they actually become who they are today. What are the practices? What are the efforts? What are the failure that they have gone through uh, to actually be who they are today. So yeah, same goes to us lah. So for example, if we want to, what is, how does it lead to grounded confidence here? Grounded confidence, I want to give an example, like for example, playing frisbee. Okay. So those of you who play frisbee, then you know what is it. But those of you who don't know, frisbee is basically the disc that we throw. In Western country, probably you will see a lot of time the angmoh play with the dog. You want the flying disc, you throw already, then the dog will go and catch or that. But here we throw with people lah. It's like a sport. So frisbee, it's something that require our hand to actually split the disc and then eventually roll up. So it requires certain skills to flip the disc so that it fly properly and it move in the way that we want to go or the direction that we want to go. So it's not something easy as it seems. So to throw out a disc and make sure that it ends up in the direction, the speed that you want, it's something that requires a lot of training. Okay. And of course, it requires a lot of practice, a lot of failing, probably a lot of times that you accidentally throw somewhere and it's gone, or probably you hit someone. So grounded confidence is basically the moment you train, and you fail so many times to the point that sometimes you thought of giving up, yet you continue pick up training. So it's the sort of like determination that you nurture along the way, that you don't give up every time, you still want to try despite that you fail. So, and until the point that somehow you manage to throw the disc in a straight line, in the speed that you want, yes. And that's not the end. In a competition, probably you will experience a lot of pressure from your opponent and everything. So how are you going to perform the same skills that you have, same speed, same direction under pressure? So again, same goes to all these athletes. Okay, like Lee Chong Wei, he can return back the shuttle in a nice way, but doesn't mean under high pressure. Imagine he's playing for the Olympic, everyone is watching, the pressure that he has on him, it's real. So he's not only dealing with the physical skill, but he's also dealing with the mental skill. So grounded confidence is basically he's confident enough in his skill that even he close his eye also can play the badminton already. So what he has to do on the spot of the Olympic game is his mental skill, his mental strength already. So for this grounded confidence, it's basically he believes that his practice is enough for him to be there. Now all he has to do is just focus and yeah, know that he's able to do it well with the amount of time and effort that he put in. Yeah. So I'm going to give another example about grounded confidence. Basically, grounded confidence, like if we use sport as an example, sports rely on key fundamentals. So usually when we play like a sport, okay, imagine you're playing tennis or swimming, you probably will always think of something like, oh, I'm so tired of doing this 50 flips turn in a row. I don't want to train anymore. I don't want to run anymore. Okay, I'm tired of training. Probably these are some of the things that voices that you have in your mind. Like I'm done with this or that. But precisely because of this voice is the one that is challenging you to give up. But if you manage to pull through it, develop the skills through disciplined practice, that's what give the player the grounded confidence to dare greatly. Okay, so it requires disciplined practice to rumble with vulnerability, so that it gives the leader the strength and emotional stamina to dare greatly. Okay, so it's the same. the moment every time when we face challenge, we all constantly remind ourselves that yeah, it's part of the practice, it's part of our life to have challenge. So instead of running away from the challenge, we face it strongly. We learn it humbly from people. We overcome it. We figure out ways, solution. We try it out. We fail. We accept. We stand back up, and we reflect, and then we learn again. So every time, if that is the choice that you make every time, slowly you will realize you will have more confidence in yourself because you know that you are going to do it. You just have to tell yourself that yes, I failed this time, but I know if I keep on trying, if I keep on exploring, reflecting, learning, I'm sure one day I'm going to get it right. So that's the inner voice that you see change. Instead of telling yourself, yeah, I try one time, fail, then that's it. But if there's the voice that you nurture that keeps on telling you it's okay, one more time, let's try one more time, let's explore one more time. Hey, one day you manage to find it. So that's the difference, I would say. And I hope you all get a clearer picture of what is grounded confidence. So some grounded confidence is something solid. Okay, it's something that uh, you build on your self-awareness, you practice, you can see there's a lot of inner voice talking to you, yet you can build on it. Okay, anyone trying to say something?
What is the common mistake about confidence? Normally, the confidence that people talk about very often today, which is a mistake, is what? What kind of confidence is that? Anybody? Fake confidence. Huh?
Is it ego?
You think about it. When you early hear about the concept of confidence, what do you think? What do you understand that confidence to be? Which is a common mistake. Very common mistake.
Ego, is it ego?
No. You can say it's ego as part of it.
Over optimistic.
Over what?
Optimistic.
Sorry, again.
Over optimistic.
What do you mean over what?
Optimistic.
Okay, what is optimistic? Explain where the optimism come from.
Too confident about himself, and he think that his way will work, but it's actually not really not really that good. Or not true, yeah.
Actually, ego could be one of them. If you're talking about macho confidence, then you're talking about ego confidence. That means I believe I can. Do you recognize the difference between ego confidence and grounded confidence?
It can't accept failure.
Sorry?
He couldn't accept failure.
Okay, where did the confidence come from? Can you recognize the difference from where the confidence come from? Why you say grounded confidence? What do you mean by grounded? That means the opposite is ungrounded, right? Yeah. Grounded is what? So what is the other person like?
Like you have actually executed out and fail, and then you stand back up and try again, and you fail and try again. hands-on part.
Okay, so you're grounded on the practical experience. Okay, what else? When you say you're grounded in what? That's why we need to recognize the difference between this kind of confidence. Because there's a lot of different form of confidence in the world today, you know. That's why I want to challenge you all to think first. So what kind of confidence is good confidence? What kind of confidence is not so good confidence?
So good confidence.
So every confidence is good, is it?
Not really. Overconfident.
If every confidence is good, then why bother for Brené Brown to talk about grounded confidence? Let's use confidence now. Why you need grounded confidence? Why, Jin Li, you want to explain grounded confidence? Why don't you just explain confidence? Finish. You know what I'm trying to get at? Okay, so if you want to practice grounded confidence, then you also need to know what is the unhealthy confidence. What is the other side? The one that you should avoid. Then what is ungrounded confidence then? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because it's always easier to know what to do if you know what is right to do and what is wrong to do, correct? Right? So once you know, you see, if you just look at grounded confidence, you don't know what to avoid. So now that's why I want to challenge you all to think, what should you avoid?
After thinking,
Huh?
I feel just personal thinking. Grounded confidence is more like you yourself need to go in and experience it and build that kind of confidence. You yourself already experienced it, you know. Then if you want to say ungrounded is maybe it's like you maybe listen from someone or maybe you read from somewhere
Imagine.
and then you feel that you already know that thing. Maybe that one can be called as ungrounded lah. Maybe this is what I think lah.
Good.
This is what I think lah. That's it. Until here only this is what I can talk of after I listen and think.
Okay, good. That's why I want you all to think. Look at all the past experience as well as all the past people you have seen. Remember, there was one case, the American Got Talent one. Remember, there's one guy, black guy. He went up on stage and then he sing. And then all the buzzer, bang, 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 bang. I think it was on Facebook. But then the guy had a lot of confidence, you know. You know what the guy said? Oh, you don't know when you see something that is great. Y'all don't know. Y'all very, very cha. And then he walked off believing that he's still a great singer. I don't know if you have seen that video. Now, if you're talking about confidence, that guy with confidence, you know, so much confidence in himself, right, that he challenged the judges. And even though the judges spared him with the red cross, right, he wasn't deterred. He walked off believing that he can. Now, is that confidence? Yes. So much so. But then my question is that grounded confidence? Now you understand why I'm saying that. Even today, fresh graduate going for a job interview, right? You think they have confidence or not? Some of this interview, they go, they don't even bother to wear properly. They don't even bother to make sure that they make the appointment on time, and they don't care. And they make demand in the interview. They demand, okay, what can the company pay me? Now, is that confidence?
That one is spoiled kid.
Sorry?
spoiled kid.
Spoiled kid, but nevertheless, I agree with you, it's a spoiled kid, but nevertheless, is that confidence?
Yes, yes, it is.
It is. So much confidence in himself that other people's opinion or other people's who have more experience, right, than him, has no bearing on what he believes. So what is that based on? That is based on ego, yes, one of it. What else?
Overconfidence.
Where does the overconfidence come from?
Self-centered.
Sorry?
Self-centered.
Yes. This is something very important for us to begin to recognize, so that in the future, if within ourselves, also with other people, we are able to recognize grounded confidence. Because think about it, other people's confidence can affect your confidence. Agree or not?
Yes.
Right. Confidence can be contagious. It's a certain kind of attitude. But then, some confidence you don't want to follow. Agree or not? Do you want to? My question to you: would you follow ungrounded confidence?
Run away.
Okay.
Too over liao. Over to the point that you're also scared.
Why scared of what?
I don't. How to put it this way? Most of the time, when ungrounded one, when what they said is not matched to the reality.
Very good. So match to what? So they're not matched to reality. Then they're matched to what?
Matched to their expectation. Matched to
This
what
is
they
something-
think.
What you say is true. Self-centered. It's not principle-centered. It's all about ego-centered, not universal centered. You know what I'm saying now? Right? Opinion-centered, not truth-centered. Objective, a subjective standard, not objective standard. Or rather, sorry, subjective centered, not objective centered. Can you recognize the difference or not? Knowledge, understanding, and experience centered, not emotion centered. Can begin to capture what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why here is experience centered, but your experience is based on what? Learning and unlearning. Where does learning and unlearning come from? Knowledge and understanding. You learn and unlearn by developing your knowledge and understanding of how things work, and then you practice it. Fail and then you practice. Not. That's why you begin to base it on objective, universal principle or truth, not subjective opinion or emotion. Can begin to recognize the difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is it possible to have grounded confidence without having the emotion? Without you feeling confident?
No. Yes. No. Wait. Come again.
Is it possible to have grounded confidence without emotional confidence.
Yes.
Yes, you can. It's a mindset. It's an attitude that you have to develop. Eventually, you listen to what? That's the question, Nani. You listen to truth, facts, knowledge and understanding, or you listen to emotion and opinion and the need to be accepted. You see what I'm saying now? Can I hope you'll be able to identify. That's why I want you to draw your over to the other side so that you now not only can recognize what is based on, you also should be able to begin to recognize why you should not base on your confidence.
Sir, I got one question.
Yeah.
The process of learning and unlearning. The unlearning is like what? What does it mean? Unlearning.
You see, unlearn require you to recognize old habit. You undo the old habit. You undo the old way of thinking. So this is what I mean. Okay, let's say in the past, you make a decision based on money alone, profitability based on money alone. You think that when I make decision in the business, it's all about money. Money is the number one value. Let's say. Later on, you begin to realize, hey, no, not necessary. Why? Human satisfaction and the impact in other people's life. There is also added value, right? If I'm satisfied and I find peace, or I still have time for my family and my family relationship with my family, my children, my spouse, and at the end, I begin to recognize that no, profitability is not everything. A balanced life now is everything. So what do? I have to unlearn making decisions based on profit. Now I have to relearn whenever I make decision. Yes, I still consider profit, but that is only 20% of my consideration. Now I have to look at the other 4 elements of my consideration. That is my family. So if my profitability require me to spend more time at work, but less time with my family, is that profitable? Is that overall good? No. So I unlearn. So now, okay, I have to now, every time when I make a decision, I consider profit, but I also consider my family, impact on my family. Then I strike a balance between the two. Then after that, I have to strike another one. Okay, meaning of life. Okay, now, will I gain satisfaction with the result? You see, sometimes money doesn't bring you the other form of satisfaction. I don't know. Maybe it's not the kind of thing that you are passionate about. What about impact in other people's life? Impact on the environment. Now you see what does unlearning means.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
The decision-making process, basically.
Okay.
You how to say? You begin to develop a new decision-making habit. An improved decision-making habit. But to develop an improved decision-making habit, you must remove the old decision-making habit. That is called unlearning. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any question? If not, then I pass back to Jin Li.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Explanation to make it clearer. So yes, here is the formula to actually build grounded confidence to dare greatly. I add in a little bit of what Brene Brown add on or explained in the early stage, the front few paragraph. So one is like self-awareness, then rumbling, curiosity plus discipline practice. So with these four ingredients, that's where we have to nurture or remind ourselves if we were in our way to actually build grounded confidence to that greatly. Yeah. So later I'll explain part of it. One by one of each formula. So again, I'm gonna highlight this grounded confidence. How does it look like when for leader case? How does grounded confidence look like? So a lot of times if we are put in a leader position, oftentimes we will face, we have hard conversation, or when it reach a time during the meeting, we are asked to make hard decision. So this is the time where Sir highlighted just now. If we were the leader, are we going to react emotionally, operate from self-protection, or are we going to stay theater to our value and we will respond accordingly, and also operate from our self-awareness? So you can see these two difference is that one is basing on emotion, like when your followers or your subordinate ask you a question, maybe it sounds like a challenge to you, then instantly you armor up. So instead of working with your subordinate to work towards the goal to improve the company, but you sort of like armor up, and you straight away feel like, hey, are they going to challenge my leadership position, or are they questioning my credibility or what? So from that, you can see clearly it become a hindrance for not only you to grow, but your whole company to grow also, because you are not reacting based on the truth, based on what is needed by your company, what is the most effective way to improve your company. You are reacting emotionally to how do you feel inside. So when you have this grounded confidence, this is where it will help us to rely on the skills that we develop over time, so that we can focus on higher order objective, challenge, and goal, instead of we ourselves what we're feeling inside. This one, if we were to put in an organization a priority, I think that's the lowest, not to say lowest, but will that actually help your company to grow? No. So why should you actually uh, consider that when you are making a big decision or important decision to improve your company? Yeah. So that's how grounded confidence can actually make a difference for a leader. Yes. And I'm gonna also bring up the paradox that we talk about bringing out the vulnerability in leaders. So yes, a lot of times in Brene Brown's this Dare to Lead book, she interviewed a lot of leaders. So what I mean by focusing on a higher order objective, challenge, or goal, it means being a leader. Oftentimes we are put in a position where we have to address paradox that in the decision making process. Okay, so for example, if most of the leaders they will have to be optimistic at the same time paranoid. Optimistic in the sense that they have to be hopeful of the future. At the same time, they have to also be aware of the challenge or the risk that's lying ahead of them. Okay, and letting chaos reign and also reigning in chaos, in the sense that they have to, whatever circumstance that comes ahead of them, they can't really control, because circumstance they can't really control. So instead of dwelling inside, they just let the chaos, let it be, but at the same time, how they are going to react in a calm way, in a rational way towards the chaos. And big heart, of course, how especially during this pandemic, you can see clearly which are the leaders who is really practicing vulnerability, which one is just the armor up one. So there are times where you have to make decision, you have to tell the truth. There are times where you have to, yeah, just to be generous. So how are you going to balance that? Okay, and humility, fierce resolve, and velocity, quality. Like when trends are happening, how are you going to keep up? Transforming your business in a fast pace, yet produce good quality service or product. So all the time you can see leaders are dealing with paradox. So if we ourselves is not confident enough or not, we don't have grounded confidence in our value, we don't have a clear value system to guide us. So most of the time we are going to make decision based on emotion. Okay, I feel like being optimistic today. I'm so cheerful today. The next day, suddenly I become paranoid. So the swing and the consistent in the leadership, that's what you can observe, and you can see from time to time whether your follower respect you or increase, or your followers start to doubt you. And yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Of course I won't go through each one. Or should I go through? Maybe sir, you got anything to add on?
You finish this slide area.
Should I go through one by one? I don't know.
Never mind lah. They ask question lah.
You can ask questions like which of the things that you don't understand. So last sentence I'm trying to sum up is that leaders must learn the skill to hold this tension and get adapted at balancing on the tightrope of life. So it's about how you balance this paradox and opposite in the values that you build up, in the grounded confidence that you have. Yeah, you can ask questions.
What is marathon and sprint and marathon of spring?
This one, from what I understand, it's marathon. It's a long journey, right? How are you going to keep up the momentum? Sprint is you have to make quick decision. So how are you going to keep your momentum yet make quick decision when time's needed? Like run a marathon, you have to make sure you run 10 kilometer. Okay, you run until like 9.5 already. So the last 0.5 kilometer, how are you going to exceed the rest? Then time where you have to sprint. So how are you going to maintain the momentum and everything? So in business it's the same. How are you going to exceed your competitor? How are you going to build the consistency, the momentum in the business? I use sport to explain for me. Business, I don't know. Yeah, maybe Jianwei can add on that part, or maybe William or Yu.
What you want me to give example on what? Example on what?
Oh yeah, so also
Sir.
can.
So also businessman Kampuchea business.
Jianwei trying to say something.
Cannot hear very
Actually,
soft.
if inside my place ni, what kind of thing will happen to me is like maybe like very simple example I think my understanding is like this we like I think Sir just got share also. And we need to firstly be clear on the purpose the purpose of this business is for what I think quite important because if anything in between happen, even like for example, like the price, the amount of the profit that you want to earn will based on the purpose of this business. So if you want to say, cannot say last minute, if anything, if this purpose, how to say, if this business, you run this business suddenly, you run this business is to help someone, then you shouldn't earn so much. You get me? I don't know. Got answer this one. Got answer the question. Correct actually.
Right.
You want the example? I feel it's like this. It's something. I think the the paradigm. No, if you want to talk about brain, then it's paradigm. Is like
I think it's one of the one, not marathon and sprint. I
I
think
think
it's
it's
yeah, I think humility and fiercely resolved. Yeah. How about what anyone want to share or want to ask questions? No, my question not yet. Not yet. I actually you understand? No, how when you correct or not?
Mila actually was understand lah, but then I just try to share the issue
他
that
的
am
example,
in.
yeah.
But then 我不知道有没有 go to the understand. But then question is why left brain and right brain? This one is like left brain, right brain.
I think one is more how to say analytical. One is more of like creative side ma. So how are you going to be balanced? Sometimes you can see people being creative but cannot strategy double it one. Or you can see some being very strategized but in terms of creativity they didn't really fully utilize both brain. I mean being a leader you have to balance up right? Of course you that's the best thing you don't have also
Okay,
never
okay.
mind.
My bad. I don't know about left brain and right brain. I only know I got brain or no brain. That's it. Okay. Thank you. Left brain creativity lah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm fine with this. I have no any question lah. So far okay lah. I don't know about other lah. Like other any question? Anything?
Anything?
This one basically, the both side also need to use, is it?
Hả?讲么？
This is
讲么 correct?
This is the comparison or actually
No, it's like how are you going to balance like for leaders usually that's the decision making time where this is where leaders will have like 冲突 but how are you going to balance 这个两个冲突 to yeah okay, for example I take thinking globally and acting locally. So if you were to think big for your company that you want to grow your company, definitely you will compare with the globally, you will see where you are, your company are in the place of in the global market and how you're gonna move towards that direction. Okay, so but at the same time, thinking globally or painting the picture of globally, yet you don't have the resources to do like the global company doing so that's where you have to when you imagine or you visualize that time, yet you have to put into realistic plan to slowly lead your company to achieve the global market or global picture the bigger picture something like that. 好像越解释越乱。Assistant from Mr. Edmund, thank you. Team. Is he gone? Hello. 不了哦，他来。Did he say that? I don't think he's gone.
Okay, hold on. Give me just a minute. Okay. Marathon and sprint is basically marathon. When you run a marathon, you're running a marathon. When you're running a sprint, you're running a sprint. In other words, usually you decide if you want to think long term, so you slow and steady long term, or you short term, you move fast. That's why it's called marathon and sprint. It's a separate thing. There are times you do marathon, there are times you do sprint. What is marathon of sprint? Marathon of sprint is where you have a series of sprint. Basically, is you keep running sprint, 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 sprint. Okay, that's why you break your long into all the sprints. Basically, how to say? Basically, he's trying to say is that here in this case, everybody will encounter both. You may have you may have time where you are optimistic. You may have time that you are fearful or paranoid. Yeah, you encounter situation where you cannot control anymore. So you let chaos reign. But there are times you can control the chaos. There are times you are very generous. You forgive. But there are times, sorry, you make tough decisions and be very firm. So basically, when you are a leader, right, you have to be open to both sides. You cannot say that this is right, this is wrong, because this is what you will encounter. For two reasons, right? One reason is because the context keeps changing, and as the context keeps changing, right, it will stir up different decision making. So you based on your present mature level, this is a decision you will make. Also, the second thing is to recognize that we are all in a growing process. That's why we are not perfect. That's why vulnerability is there. It helps. It's required in growing. Okay. Same like for those of you who have learned inward mindset and outward mindset. Right? Self-centered and outward-centered. Basically, you need both. You cannot not be self-centered, because self-centered leads to self-awareness. But then self-centered alone cannot one. You become defensive one side. That's why you have to be open to outward-centered. You have to start looking out into the world and begin to understand what is out there, so that you know where you fit. That's why you have to be self-aware and world-aware, aware of what's out and aware of what's in. So, in other words, if I want to use a word to describe, you have to develop holistic. This is what it means. And in the process of developing holistic is like a full circle. If full circle, you will notice one thing, paradox will happen. One side of the circle is going to be in paradox to the other opposite side of the circle. Correct? That's what it means. Okay, one side is going to be paradox with the other opposite side. Take for instance, those who understand DISC, right? The D will be in conflict with the S. Why? Because it's paradox. The D what? Decision making, goal oriented. The S what? People oriented. Emotion, people's feeling oriented. So when we are working as a leader, you begin to recognize, you don't hold on to one side. Okay, you have to develop the paradox, recognizing the paradox of the opposite side. Very tough, huh? And that's why you need vulnerability. Why? Let's say, for instance, me, for instance, I'm naturally inclined with the D side because I'm high D. I'm a low S. Now, in doing so, recognize I need to be vulnerable when people point out to me my insensitivity, my lack of S. And so what do I have to do? I have to acknowledge it. So I have to acknowledge my weakness. That's vulnerability. But then it's a paradox. Right? Because it's opposite to what I am. Can you all begin to see what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
And that is confidence. That's why just now I wanted to say this, mindset. If we grow our mindset to be more and more holistic, we will come across more and more paradox. And we have to deal more and more often with vulnerability. Because when we increase our holistic mindset, when we expand our mindset, make our mindset keep growing, we will have to deal with opposites, like here, opposites. And to deal with opposites, I have to be vulnerable. I have to admit, because naturally, every one of us will be inclined to one side. Natural one with our personality type style. So until and unless we are able to acknowledge our weakness of the other side, we cannot grow. And realize this, very interesting. The more bigger picture we develop, and the more we acknowledge vulnerability in order to recognize the other side of the picture and grow a bigger mindset, actually the more confident we have. But yet the more questions we have. That's why narrow-minded people lacks confidence or false confidence. The kind of ego confidence or emotional confidence or no confidence. Because your world is too small. You cannot deal with it. You've never experienced it. You've never encountered it. You've never asked questions about it. So your knowledge, understanding, and experience is so limited. That's why you cannot. Your confidence is limited to the narrow mindset that you hold. But then the more questions, the more vulnerable you are to admit the weaknesses of what you don't know and what you're weak at. The more you expand your mindset, and the more holistic you become, and surprisingly, that increases your knowledge, understanding, and your experience. And what happens? It becomes more grounded mindset. Can visualize what I'm trying to say? And that's why vulnerability needs to be there. Because to discover the side of the holistic perspective that you need, the holistic mindset that you need to grow, you need to acknowledge your weakness or your lack of understanding on the part that you don't have, and which is vulnerability. I don't know. Please give me feedback. Yes? No?
Yep.
Question.
Can.
Yep. Can.
But like what you say, the very not easy. It could be a split. If we didn't split our personality, if we didn't manage well, and we could even lose ourselves.
Yes, there will be a struggle one. Like you, that's why it's called paradox. What you say is correct. You feel like your mind is splitting during that moment. But then once you are able to recognize and accept the paradox, that's why it's called paradox, the opposite side. Once you begin to recognize and then fit in together as a continuous connection between the two extremes, and then you're okay anymore. You don't see the split anymore. You know what I'm saying? But during the moment where you cannot connect, you feel the split.
Yeah. Practices and
Agnes, your voice breaking, so cannot hear what you say.
Yep.
I think your connection very poor. Or my connection very poor.
From our side, she's breaking up. I think
Yeah,
what she said
Same.
practice.
It's something we have to go through. I mean, I remember myself, to be honest with you. I remember myself. I look at my growth process, my in this case, my mindset growth process. I look back I remember going through a lot of conflicting period of time. The period of time my mind is very much in conflict. You know what I'm saying? It's in conflict. And I also recognize there are times where I'm very frustrated because I begin to see the weakness of the other, my weakness of the other side. Because I'm inclined towards one side already. So when I go out into the world and deal with people and do things, I recognize this, hey, the world needs somehow experience on the other side which I cannot give. So it gives rise to frustration. So during that period of frustration, yeah, you are split because you cannot fit the two yet. But now, many years later, after struggle through, and I now see the big picture. Now I can see both sides fitting in together. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm still, my natural nature is still standing on one side, but in my mind, I can see both sides. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, but the building process is, yeah, you will see this one is called paradox. Or what Edna say split is yeah, during that period you feel very split.
I just have some thought lah. I think me myself also go through this. I think everyone in the world originally will start with one side first one. It doesn't matter either right side or left side first. But originally sure we will go with one side first. And this one side, I think we will start from the environment that we went through, or maybe from our parents, like what we studied just now, or whatever lah. Since we young, we went through, then we will go on one side only. Then slowly, maybe either we explain ourselves, or like my case, I actually go through with Sir Lo. Why Matt give me some different view, give me another side of view. Then slowly I will become center. Become center means I will struggle. Not say all the time will struggle lah. I will explain both sides lor. Then whenever I explain both sides, it's like I will become very flexible one. Oh, this one also I can, that one also I can. This one also I can, that one also I can. But eventually, slowly, when times pass by, your paradigm become bigger, the holistic picture of your life become bigger, then I think you will automatically stick stronger with one side first. For me, I feel it's like this. But then it's like it's a process. I feel it's like you will stick with one side because you will see that side will be more helpful in overall. But at the same time, you cannot neglect another side, which like for example, like the short term and long term. If you want to give some solution, last time I used to like short-term solution all the while because no one teach me to see long-term solution mah. But now someone show me the way, always focus on the long-term solution. Then different case already. But in life, sometimes I still need a short-term solution. Yeah, this is what I try to say. Kamsahamnida.
Recognize this, what happened when you are not willing to accept vulnerability? What happened? What happened when you in your life you are not willing to accept or deal with vulnerability?
Nobody likes to come near to you.
Okay, but what happened inside you?
I think it's avoidance of like you try to cover up your vulnerability lah. Your weakness.
What happened to your mindset? Is it possible to expand mindset without vulnerability? That's what I'm trying to ask.
I think
Sorry, sir, can repeat?
Is it possible to expand mindset without vulnerability?
Not really.
Not really.
Expand mindset. Expand you say.
Is it possible to grow a more holistic mindset without vulnerability?
No lah, because you think you are the right one ma. You will just want to stick to your way ma.
Correct. Because you dare not walk towards the area that you are not familiar with. Correct, huh? Because you dare not go towards the area you are not used to. So you stay put, so your world will remain the same. Okay? Your growth will be super slow. That's why vulnerability is very crucial. That's why this book is there. So if you really want to grow, you need vulnerability because you need to leave yourself, your center. You need to leave yourself, your center to walk towards the other side which you are not familiar with. Because the biggest area is the other side. Think about it, isn't it? Think about it. The biggest expansion is the other side. You're only on one side, right? We're all on one side. But different one side lah. Huh? Your one side is different from my one side lah. Huh? So where is the biggest potential for learning? The biggest space is the other side. And that's the one, the scary part. Because it's the side that's very different from you. That means that's what leaving your comfort zone lah, vulnerability, leaving your comfort zone lah. Can say. Okay, you all can see
Okay. Yeah.
Not easy lah, not easy in real life lah, not easy. But it's a need lah. I think if you want to grow holistically, it's a need now.
That's why this book is much harder than just reading. Much harder. But it's a good lah. It's a good thing lah. Yeah, it's a good start lah. Recognizing it and seeing, understanding what is involved, and hopefully we can begin to practice it lah. That's why the book study lah.
So agree with you also. All these are very deep, but then if really want it happen, cannot just read one. We need to so-called the experiential learning. Last time we go on, that one play very crucial one. We need to go bang wall, then we evaluate each other. That one very crucial.
Not only that, can you recognize the difference between reading alone and then now discussing together? Can see that?
Hey, sir and everyone, me and Steve has something emergency. The family got some problem. We both need to leave first. We'll get update later.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Okay, take care. Okay.
Later, when finish, you all just stop recording lah. We go settle first.
Okay.
可以 leave. Now I leave my laptop just on. Later you all just close and stop recording. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Jin Li, if nobody, then pass back to you, Jin Li.
Okay. So, okay, back to me. Thank you, sir, for the input. So now I'm going to factors that can help us to build grounded confidence. Okay. So first, of course, is self-awareness and rumbling with vulnerability. Remember the formula. So under this factor one, I just pinpoint the sentence that I find really helpful. First is to be effective, learning has to be effortful, and also Okay, what the first sentence, a lot of times we thought, you know, learning, a lot of times we thought it's whenever we learn, whenever we do something, it's also considered part of learning already. But that's not the case lah. In the sense that learning, what it means, it's actually, even though there are times where you face challenge problems that you find learning really boring and difficult, yet you persist through. So that's so-called desirable difficulty. So in the point, it's just like exercise. If you want to build muscle, surely there are times where you feel like giving up. The time where you feel your muscle burn, that's the time you feel like giving up. And if you persist through, that's where your muscle manage to build up because of being strengthened. Because a lot of times when we feel challenged or we feel like wherever in the process of learning, we feel difficult and we thought of giving up, that's the time where our brain tells us that, oh, we feel discomfort, we feel uneasy, we want to just let go, and why not just enjoy. But if you persist through, I can guarantee you that's the time where you start learning. So dealing with vulnerability is the same. A lot of time, it's not something comfortable, will have to say. As from the example that shared just now by some of the people, you know that feeling comfortable probably sometimes have to go against your nature self, to be more sensitive, to constantly aware yourself that you have to, not only nurture your true self, your original self, but also you have to look at the one that's contradicting to your nature self. So in order to get a more holistic decision, to make a more holistic decision, and yeah. So oftentimes we have to tell ourselves that when things get hard, it's normal lah. So vulnerability is never comfortable. It's never becomes comfortable. So grounded confidence is the one that gives us motivation and strength to manage. So in a sense that it means, oops, wait, 有礼貌，对。害我忘记掉了。
100
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. So a lot of times when we feel uncomfortable with being vulnerable, that's the time probably we will hear whisper in our ear saying that, oh, this is hard, this is so awkward, I feel like running away, I don't want to deal with this anymore. Probably these are some of the inner voice that you hear inside lah. So probably it's something similar or it's something different, but I just want you to recognize that when you hear this again, tell yourself that it's okay. As long as you pull through this time, next time, and few more times to go, I'm sure slowly you will gain confidence in overcoming and getting more getting used to being vulnerable. Okay, so remember, it's about self-awareness and also constantly of practicing to rumble with the discomfort. Okay, next, factor 2 is curiosity. So curiosity is an act of vulnerability in terms of uncertainty and courage. So why did I say that? Because like just now Sir mentioned, vulnerability is basically leaving your comfort zone. To leave your comfort zone, first you have to be curious of what is outside matter. If you're not curious of what is outside, you definitely won't want to step out, right? So usually people or kids, you can see they explore further and further ways because their curiosity that's driving them. So curiosity, I would say, is one of the key elements that we should have, even though no matter how old are we, it's not good for us to constantly stay in the same position, same lifestyle without being curious of what's happening or aware of what's happening out there. Because we have to see a big picture. After all, we are living in a society. Yeah, things change often, so we have to always be curious. So, and curiosity is actually a feeling where we deprivation of our experience, when we identify and focus on the gap in our knowledge. So we won't be curious on about something that we aren't aware or know nothing of. So I would say it's good that sometimes we don't just learn things that we have been comfortable with, but also explore things that we don't know. So that's the first step. Okay, so don't be afraid to learn new things, to explore new things, ask, because that is the first step to get ourselves explore and move to the next phase. Yeah. So for example, if today nobody talks about dare to lead this book study, or maybe some of you first time hear about, oh, there's this virtual book study. If you're not even interested to ask, to find out in the first place, how are you going to know that there's something for you to learn, or maybe something that you think would change your life here that you can find from this just a virtual platform? So yes, first step I would say is to explore, to allow yourself to step out. Just to explore, won't die one, won't kill you, won't take your life one. Yeah. And another thing, research has also proven that curiosity and knowledge building actually goes together. The moment you are curious of something, that's where your knowledge build up. The more we know, the more we want to know. Okay, so that's also a mindset and attitude that we should build on. Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah, and I'm gonna give an example of this Old Navy story from the book itself. Who am I giving this story? Yeah, let me think. Wait, wait, wait. Okay. I think driving quickly from what you should see. So you got anything on sum up first? Let me reconnect.
Okay. Just thinking, actually, when you go through the slide on curiosity, I was just thinking about today's culture. Do you realize that today's culture internationally, especially first world country, do you realize that we promote risk-free? We're trying to reduce and reduce risk. We keep reducing risk. When we reduce risk, think about it. What's going to happen? We try to reduce risk and reduce pain. This is our society today. Two things we are aiming too much overboard: reducing risk and reducing pain. Do you realize that vulnerability and curiosity doesn't reduce risk or pain? Curiosity and vulnerability increases risk and increases discomfort. That's why for those people who buy into the world of reducing risk and reducing pain or discomfort, what will happen? It's going to reduce our courage.
We won't glow, we will stay.
Yeah, exactly. Which is probably what's happening to a lot of the younger generation, for those people who get into the habit of dependency on things to keep them from risk. That's why the how to say the technology that reduces risk actually increases risk. I don't know how to say. The technology reduces risk, right, reduces human capability to avoid risk, which in turn increases risk. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is why, if you think about it, nowadays, if I take a kid out of the city and go into nature, right, it increases the level of danger they are in it because they don't know how to deal with nature. Why? Because in the city, they depend on technology to reduce risk, not human wisdom, not personal experience. The greatest, the strongest, the best way to reduce risk is your mind, not technology. When we depend on technology, we hinder the growth of our mind to be able to handle risk. Does that make sense? So today's world is very scary. So we have to be careful with it, not to buy in, not to let them bluff us. When they sell to us all this modern technology telling us that, hey, it will keep you safe. Actually, no. It makes you more dependent, and your dependency on the technology reduces your ability to handle life safely. Now think about it. Curiosity, when a kid is curious. Last time, my time, when the kid grow up, think about it, when the kid grow up, we don't have those toys that will keep me safe from running around. We crawl around everywhere, we bang our head. I still remember when I was young, my mother tells me that I eat worm, I eat caterpillar. And my brother got one of those satay stick poked through the mouth, poked into the throat. And my brother, another brother, don't know what happened, bang into, oh yeah, I remember me. I go and play game, knock into somebody's head, and then my eyebrow there crack open. And then I have to take to hospital and go and stitch. Almost got my eye blinded. I still remember all this. But then all those experience increases my physical, my ability to cope with risk. Which is why I can go into the jungle. I become more able to cope with life, handle life's risk. So it reduces my risk because of my experience to handle life risk. Okay, that's a thought. Okay, Jenny, back to you. If there's no comment.
I think Jin Li still cannot thought of. Then never mind, I share something also let Jin Li think. No, this is what I thought of just now. You sir say about the world, is focusing on reducing the risk and focusing on comfort, right? I think this is what I can see recently lah in my displaced area lah. What I can see is the subsidized, the government of Malaysia actually subsidize the money, right, on some goods like the oil and the sugar and the flour, this kind of thing, right? This actually, to be honest, this one is like a very short-term solution only. They are trying to letting the people in heart become very dependent, to be honest. Because from what I see, like recently, all this subsidizing is out of stock, And what happened to those user that actually dependent on this kind of subsidized product? They become very helpful. How to say? lost, so they become lost. They become very, how to say, 无助啊，无助. Sorry, I don't know how to say. Helpless, helpless, because they are too dependent on this kind of government support already, and suddenly this kind of thing gone, they become like don't know what to do, and most of them react, angry, scolding. Actually, the things is still there. It's just that they are too dependent on the government. It's like they don't have their self. In conclusion, it's like too dependent. Like what Sir shared just now. It's also a problem that really happening in the world. Not say world, now I'm talking about Malaysia. Malaysian, okay? Malaysian also facing this kind of comfort thing already. They are staying in very comfort already. A lot of things that government offer is not solving the problem one. They just try to make people feel comfort. That's it, comfortable, which human always look for. They want comfort, and they feel it's very good already. And when the comfort is not there, then yeah, they start to like, oh my god, help like this. This is what I see through recently in my place Also related to what the now sir try to share They are not growing Malaysian. When those who that actually just depend on this, I mean, it's not a bad thing I mean, for government to subsidize, it's helpful for those that actually low income one, no problem. But from what I see is those that even okay, they are not really poor or what, they also dependent on this kind of thing, and they feel like it's a need for them already. Then they react. This is what I see This is problem occur. And those next generation also follow like their son, their daughter. I can see that they follow one. They follow, react, and they feel that it's a must. What government do is a must. They must continue help one. So become the mindset of too dependent. Yeah. That's it. Thank you. Jin Li, pass back to you.
Sorry, I was on call just now. Okay, thank you, Tian Wei, sir. So I will continue my slide. Next one, yeah. I'm gonna share this short story of how we can actually, or how this leader or the CEO of Old Navy company actually leave out vulnerability. So this leader is called Stephen Larson. So basically, he was asked to actually turn around this iconic American apparel brand called Old Navy last time. So last time, when this company had serious trouble and the company is about to close down, he was, assigned or invited to actually see how he can actually turn around. So, and it turns out that he and his team managed to deliver 12 straight quarters of growth and add 1 billion in sales in 3 years. So how he actually turned a company who is about to go maybe close down to a company that actually earn profit. So yes, this is what he has developed, his sets of leadership, what is it called? Leadership skills, not say skills, it's his foundation to actually be vulnerable in his leadership. So 3 sets of skills that he highlighted, which is important, as you can see on the right hand side. Living into our value. Second, braving trust. Third, learning to rise. So for the first one, living into our values. Living into our values in terms of that, he know that the company, it's an old brand. Usually old brand, you will face problem like the worker probably have been, some of the worker probably have been working there for many years already, from young until old. So when become old already, then the quality change already. So they will become how to say they will have their own sets of culture. They will not, or even if some of the new employee come in, they dare not voice out because the old employee or the senior probably will be the one dominating the meetings or everything. So there is already a set of culture form there, which probably some of it could be toxic. So this is what he recognized in the first place. And going back to the value of this company, it's basically to bring back the authenticity of this clothing to the American culture to the market, to spread this globally lah. So in order to reach that, first they will need something new. They will need something trendy. So they need new ideas from young people, not just dominating by old people, senior. So that's where he started to introduce a lot of culture or value to nurture trust. So that leads to the next second point. To nurture trust, he provide a platform and or a failure-proof way of working. So there is this meeting where he just asks everyone to voice out, regardless of your hierarchy, regardless whether you are junior or senior, you are open to voice out. So and he also highlighted that the mentality of working in the company, instead of we focus on the outcome of it, they also focus on the outcome, but they also focus more on learning. So instead of blaming or when problems arise, let's find out what's the thing to learn from, how can we improve for the next round. So that's where directly they save a lot of time from blaming and finding people to accuse. Instead of that, they work together to see how they can improve together. And thirdly, learning to rise. So from there, they also move together in the sense that they encourage. Slowly you can see as the practice go by, there are changes among the team. People start to be more courageable, to share ideas, to pointed out some of the bad behaviors or some of the bad cultures that need to be changed, or some of the ideas that doesn't work. So we can see more and more people being open to that. So that's where changes happen. That's where things start to progress well. And that's where it leads to the third point, learning to rise. So instead of sticking to the old model of working, that's where when we open up ourselves, to changes, to uncertainty, to risk, that's where we explore new things and learn new things. We pick up something new and we explore something new, and we manage to turn around the whole game. Alright, of course I didn't go detail into the story, you can read from the book, but I just highlight, and I find this 3 point really useful. From the example, it's more detailed, you can actually read through and probably apply in your company. Okay, so and this interesting quote from Albert Einstein, one of the smartest person on earth. He said, if I have an hour to solve a problem and my life depends on the solution, I would spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask. For once I know the proper question, I could solve the problems in less than 5 minutes. So what he's trying to highlight here is, whenever you face a problem, don't get too busy looking for solution first. First, you have to make sure that you identify the right problem. A lot of time we find ourselves, trying to find solution for a wrong problem, where we can't even get our problem correctly. We can't even recognize or identify the correct problem. So don't panic, don't get triggered. Calm down and identify what's the problem. Problem could be something to do with something inner, like your feelings or behavior or attitude, something that we need to think properly, not just surface problems. So a lot of time, if we just jump too quickly to solve or to propose solution, it could be something just solving the surface problem only. Yeah. I'm still at the curiosity. So factor 2, still at the curiosity. Here are some of the strategy where you can actually be more curious. You can start with being curious. For example, wherever you have meeting or something like that, or whenever you deal with hard conversation, you can use some of the phrase like this, like, I'm curious about it, could you tell me more? Or yeah, could you help me to understand or walk me through this problem? Or how did you suggest this? Walk me through your ideas. Then yeah, these are some of ways that you can position yourself in a way that you are curious to learn, not just armor up yourself, defending yourself, but you're also curious to learn, to work towards the problem. Okay. And second strategy is horizon conflict. Horizon correct. Horizon conflict. So second strategy, horizon conflict, is that a lot of times different people at different role have different tasks. So maybe, for example, marketing department are tasked to actually look at the marketing strategy, how to promote it, how to promote the organization in a nicer way. But for the financial team, they have different goals as well. Their goals is to help companies save money. So how to actually balance this up, in the sense that we have to address that different department have different goal, and it's important to have aligned goal lah. So a lot of time, two department will have conflict. Is that I'm trying to help the company to promote, to sell the company, yet you're trying to ask me to cut money. How am I going to promote without having money or something like that? So we have to recognize the gap, and then help each other to see from their perspective, and align back, like whether what we are doing, is it aligned with what the company is trying to achieve, the big picture, the goal. So yes, and of course this we can't do it without being curious first of what the other department's perspective is. Okay, so always stay curious and don't jump to conclusion too quickly. Okay, next, I'm reaching the last part of the session. So the foundation component of leadership approach. So this is what shared by Brene Brown. 3 important points or area of focus in her leadership approach. First is practicing vulnerability. So what she do is she will always share personal story, trying to relate to people that she's also facing the same thing, even though she's in a CEO position. But apart from that, she's also trying to build sense of empathy for people, in the sense that to show people that whatever they are going through, she has also gone through, and how it actually connects her story or her experience with the rest. So in a way, she's opening up herself to others who matters. Yeah. And second, becoming self-awareness. Yeah. So another thing is to be practice vulnerability in leadership. First, you have to be self-awareness. You have to constantly check or be mindful of your thoughts, of your behavior, why you are reacting that way whenever you face certain challenge or risk or problem, and ask yourself and reflect, is it the best way of me handling this problem, or is there a better way, or why am I reacting that way? So it would be good to spend quiet reflection time to actually understand yourself and figure out what's going through in yourself, your thoughts and your behavior. Yeah. And third, engaging in tough conversation. So yeah, sometimes you don't have to figure out all by yourself. You can actually get a support team, a team of people who you trust, and who you think it's willing to able to support you, and give you honest feedback in helping you to grow your vulnerability lah. Yeah. So yeah, you can also draft out a system to help you if you find certain things that's difficult for you to overcome. For example, if you don't like hard conversation, or yeah, you can actually develop a set of systems or way to guide you through when you had hard conversation, or even some of things that you try to avoid constantly, try to avoid to practice vulnerability. So you can check that and develop something that you find it easier for you to practice, to nurture lah. Third, provide a safe opportunity for people to call out. This one is more related towards company context lah. So, and I think the fourth one also the same, celebrate what works and change things that doesn't add value to the company. So this for third and fourth point is actually related to like company basis lah. So if you want the company to grow, make sure you provide a safe space for people to build trust lah. So that from time to time people are more open and more willing to change and adapt to new changes lah. So yes, actually the last 3 points is more relatable if you can read from the book lah. So okay, I'm gonna end with this slide. Remember the formula: self-awareness plus rumble skill, curiosity, practice, which leads to confidence. These are the important elements that you need to build your grounded confidence. And what you will gain in return if you build grounded confidence is courage, living into your values, building trust, stay open, curious while facing challenges, where it leads to daring leadership. So of course there are more. Yeah, that's all for my side. So you want to add on anything, or anyone got any question?
What is killer culture?
Okay.
Culture killer.
Culture killer is more of like there are someone who actually leads the toxic culture. Yeah, when you wanna nurture a trust culture, you know, where people have a trust community, but the one is always the one like 破你冷水, always trying to be like the obstacle to hinder you from building the trust. Maybe it's like the one who make people doubt each other, something like that. Yeah. Haha. Okay, build safe culture. Like, never mind. Yeah. Okay. Got anyone? Any other question? I don't know whether if I answered. You understand, right? Yeah. Good. Okay. Whoever question.
Not from me. Not from me.
Yay.
How about other before we call an end?
No
None
questions.
from me also.
No questions.
Jin Li, normal lah, huh? Next week exercise you will post out, right? Huh?
Yes.
Just observation. As you go through, I hope you are able to begin to recognize that a lot of the principles we are studying is conflict with the present society's culture or the trend of the society. The trend of the society, majority of the trend out there, if you see, is opposite to what we are learning. How often do we see vulnerability out there? Very little. How often do we encounter curiosity today? Very little. Realize that a lot of the things that we are studying now seems to be pulling or just pulling different from what is existing in the majority today. So be very clear that you will find yourself if you begin to want to practice this, you will find yourself as a minority. So there is a peer pressure there. There's a pressure that makes it quite difficult for you to apply in the working world, especially. Right?
Yep.
Hello?
Okay, can understand.
Yeah.
Thank you. So
Just be aware, because awareness helps so that awareness is the beginning. Okay. Then you have to you need then from then onwards, then you need wisdom to know how to deal with it. Yeah. So all I'm trying to say is practicing this in the workplace is don't be surprised when you encounter difficulty or encounter resistance. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. So no
Yeah.
question then.
Thank you.
If no question, then I think that's where we
Yeah.
say goodbye and good night.
Hey, I think the
Thank you, everyone.
the sir reminder very important also. It's not easy. Aware, everyone need to aware.
From the first chapter until now, it's not easy. Yeah.
No lah, when want to apply lah, like so say on in working place
Yeah.
not easy Okay, thank you, Jin Li. Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone that sharing. Take care. Please take care.
Stay strong, Jian Wei.
Good night, everyone. Bye bye.